Hello students, today we will do the sums 18 from the exercise. Now these are the application of the Gauss law. The question 18 is, we have to find out the flux through the square where the point charge 10 microcoulomb is at a distance 5 centimeter from a square of 10 centimeter. So you have a square whose length is 10 centimeter and a point charge 10 microcoulomb is at a distance 5 centimeter from the square. So we need to find out the flux associated with this square only. Flux means the number of field lines passing through the square. Now if you refer this question, you will see a hint that imagine a Gaussian surface. We know that when we apply the Gauss law, we have to take a imaginary Gaussian surface. So in the question they have given you the hint also, which will not be given. So we imagine a Gaussian surface such that the charge is enclosed in it. So how the charge will be enclosed? Only if I consider this square as one side of the cube, and when I imagine a cube, now let us say this is a cube. Now this is our square which is given to us. The length of the square was 10 centimeter. Now this is the square. Now if I imagine a cube, this point P comes at its center and the distance of this point P is 5 centimeter. So now this cube becomes a Gaussian surface. So we imagine a Gaussian surface to be cube such that the given square becomes one of its side, and now point P or the charge Q is it at center. The charge is positive, so the field lines will be coming out or emerging outward because the charge is positive, and the flux should also be positive. Now the number of field lines. So if we have this number of field lines which are radially outward, we will see that only 1/6 of the field line will pass through this because the cube has 6 faces. Let us say the number of field lines is 600 for an example. So since the cube is having a 6 face and it is a proper geometrical symmetry, so the number of field lines passing through each face should be 1/6 of the total number. So we have to find out the flux through this square only. So only 1/6 of the field lines will contribute to the flux. So now the question becomes very easy. According to Gauss law, flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. But we need to find out only the flux linked with a square, that is only the one side. So the contribution of this one side or the flux through this one side will be 1/6 of this. So here summation Q is equal to Q upon 6. So 1/6 part of this charge will contribute to our square. Therefore flux is equal to Q by 6 epsilon naught. So if they ask, this is the flux linked with one side of the cube or a square. So even if they ask you what is the flux linked with one side of the cube, here the charge is at the center, so it becomes 1/6. If there are two faces, I multiply it by 2. Now these values are given. Q is 10 microcoulomb, so 10 into 10 raised to minus 6 divided by 6 into 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12. So whatever is this, This is left as an exercise. You do this calculation and it comes out to be Newton per Coulomb meter square. So whenever some geometrical symmetry is given, we have to imagine a Gaussian surface in such a way that a charge is enclosed inside it. Or if it is a continuous charge distribution, the Gaussian surface can pass through it, that we have seen in the characteristics of a Gaussian surface. Here the point charge was given. So we assume this Gaussian surface to be a cube such that the charge is at the center of the cube. And so the contribution through one side will be 1/6 of the total flux. So now question number 90. Again we have a charge Q at the center of the cube. So again we have a cube. The length of the cube is 9 centimeter and charge Q is at the center. So the number of field lines, since the charge is positive, the field lines will emerge outward. So the flux should also be positive. So direct application of a Gauss law, simple MCQ. According to Gauss law, flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. Here we have to find out the total flux linked with the cube. So if we have only one phase, like this previous question, it was 1/6. If we have to take a two phase, I multiply it by 2. Here you have to find out the total flux linked with the entire cube. So total flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. Therefore, flux is equal to Q upon epsilon naught, that is 2 micro, that is 2 into 10 raised to minus 6, divided by 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12. So whatever is this calculation, that much is the flux linked with the cube. Unit becomes Newton per Coulomb meter square. So this is the total flux linked with the cube having the length as a 9 centimeter. Now question number 20. The electric flux is given. The flux is negative. So if the flux is negative, our charge or source should also be negative. So the flux is linked with the spherical surface, or a spherical surface or a spherical body is given whose radius is 10 centimeter. So we have a sphere of radius 10 centimeter and the flux linked with this sphere is negative, that is minus 1 into 10 raised to 3 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. The first part is, what will be the total flux linked with this sphere if the Gaussian surface is doubled? So Gaussian surface radius is 10 centimeter, and if this radius is doubled, we have to find out the flux. And we have studied that the Gauss law does not depend on the shape and the size. Flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. So this formula does not contain any shape and size. So if this Gaussian surface is doubled, so if Gaussian surface is 10 centimeter, if it becomes 20 centimeter, it will not affect the number of field lines associated with this Gaussian surface. So first part, the flux will remain same. So first part, we will write Gaussian surface does not depend, or instead of this we write the flux does not depend on the shape and the size of the Gaussian surface. The electric flux does not depend on shape. The electric flux does not depend on shape and size of Gaussian surface. So if we write this, Gaussian surface is doubled, the flux does not change. The flux does not change. That is, flux will remain same, minus 1 into 10 raised to 3 Newton per Coulomb meter square. So there is no change in the flux linked with the Gaussian surface, even if its size is doubled or tripled, or if it is half, it does not make any difference to the number of field lines. Flux is the number of field lines passing through a unit area or any surface which is generally held normal. Second part, which is again very simple. The flux is given, you have to find out the value of the point charge. So again, direct application. According to Gauss law, flux is equal to summation q upon epsilon naught, where summation q is charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface. So this is the charge enclosed. Therefore, summation q or q is equal to flux multiplied by epsilon naught. So flux is minus 1 into 10 raised to 3 and epsilon naught is 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12. So this becomes minus 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 9 Coulomb. So this is the total charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface. Since the flux is negative, the charge is negative and the field lines will enter in the Gaussian surface. So this is question number 20. Now let us see question number 21. Here a conducting sphere of radius 10 centimeter is given and the electric field is 1.5 to 10 raised to 3 Newton per Coulomb inwards. So electric field is inward. It means the charge should be negative. We have to find out the net charge at point P, which is 20 centimeter from the conducting sphere. So this is the direct application. If we have a conducting sphere, the derivation remains same as that of a hollow sphere. And if you remember, for outside, the electric field intensity was K source upon small r square. So the theory is for conducting sphere or hollow sphere or spherical shell, the formula remains same. So if you have a conducting sphere or a spherical shell, field inside is 0, outside that is kq upon r square, and on the surface kq upon capital R square. So theory was, we assume this Gaussian surface of radius smaller and this point is outside. So here point P is outside conducting sphere, is outside conducting sphere, that is small r is greater than the capital R, and therefore E is equal to kq upon r square. We have to find out the net charge and the field line is inward. Therefore q is equal to E r square upon k. Therefore q is equal to minus 1.5 into 10 raised to 3. This minus sign is taken because the electric field is inward, into small r. So small r is 20 centimeter, that is converted into meter whole square, divided by k, that is 9 into 10 raised to 9. So we substitute all these values and do the calculation. This much amount of charge is distributed on the conducting sphere. So this is the net charge on the surface of the conducting sphere and since the field line is inward, so we take the charge on the surface to be negative. So your answer should be negative. Here we mention, here negative sign is taken as electric field given is inward. So we have taken the negative sign for the electric field. So these are the direct application of the hollow sphere or a conducting sphere using the Gauss law. Now question number 22. Again a sphere of diameter 2.4 meter is given. So radius is half of it, that is 1.2 meter. In this question they have given the surface charge density. Surface charge density is charge upon area, that is 80 microcoulomb per meter square, that is equal to 80 into 10 raised to minus 6 coulomb per meter square. We have to find out the charge on the sphere. So it is direct the definition of the surface charge density, as well you have to find out the total electric flux leaving the surface. Now if the flux is leaving the surface, it means the charge should be positive. So let us apply this Gauss law and the definition. So we know sigma is equal to charge upon area, that is Q upon 4 pi r square, and therefore Q is equal to sigma multiplied by the area. So we substitute all these values, that is 80 into 10 raised to minus 6 into 4 into pi into radius square, that is 1.2 whole square, and this will be the answer. The calculation is left as an exercise. So this is the total charge on the sphere. Now second part is find out total electric flux leaving the surface. So if the flux is leaving the surface, then your charge should be positive, that we have already found. So in second part directly we apply according to Gauss law, flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. Therefore flux is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So whatever answer we get here, we substitute here and divide it by epsilon naught. Here electric flux is leaving the surface, so charge is positive. So we have to find out the flux linked with the sphere and it is leaving the surface, so charge is positive. So this is question number 22. Now question number 17. The net outward flux to the black box is 8 into 10 raised to 3 Newton per coulomb meter square. Find the charge inside the box. So again the flux is given. It is a direct application of the Gauss law. And the second part is, if the net outward flux is 0, so flux is 0, could you conclude that there were no charges inside the box? Why or why not? So let us see the first part. According to Gauss law, flux is equal to summation Q upon epsilon naught. Summation Q is the net charge inside the box. Therefore, net charge Q is equal to flux multiplied by epsilon naught. So this is simple a multiplication. The flux is 8 into 10 raised to 3 into 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12. So whatever is this calculation left as an exercise, this much coulomb of charge is inside the box. Now, see the second part. If the net outward flux is 0, so what is given? The net flux phi is equal to 0. Therefore, summation q upon epsilon naught is 0. And therefore, summation q is 0. That is, the algebraic sum of the electric charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface should be 0. Now the question is, could you conclude that there were no charges inside the box? Here we have summation q equal to 0. So the answer is no. You cannot conclude there is no charge since flux is 0, because the charge is not 0. We get summation q to be 0. So it may be possible that a box contain two charges having same magnitude but opposite polarity. For example, a dipole. So dipole is a system of two equal and opposite charge. So if you do the algebraic summation of total charge enclosed in the Gaussian surface, it comes out to be 0. So for the second part, no, we could you conclude that there were no charges inside the box? So no, we conclude that it may be possible, we conclude that it may be possible that Gaussian surface or box, that is a black box is given in the question, contains two charges of equal magnitude but opposite polarity. So when we did this Gauss law, we used to say that the total flux linked with the closed surface should be equal to the algebraic sum of the electric charge enclosed inside the box to epsilon naught. It is the ratio of charge enclosed inside the box or surface to epsilon naught. So if I take any box or any surface, if I have two charges, say plus q and minus q, so the total q comes out to be 0. So it is, if the flux is 0, we will not say that there is no charge enclosed. It may be possible that the Gaussian surface or box contain two charges of equal magnitude but opposite polarity. So these are the different examples or different situation. I may assume there are two positive charges and there are another two negative charges, or this is the case where we take a specific example, so the electric dipole. So if any closed surface consists of an electric dipole, the flux linked will be 0, because whatever amount of field lines emerge from this positive charge, same amount of the field line enter this box or a surface. So if the flux is 0, it is not necessary that the charge enclosed inside the Gaussian surface is also 0, means there is no charge in the Gaussian surface. It may be possible that a Gaussian surface or a box contain the charges having equal magnitudes but opposite polarity. So these are the few sums related to the application of the Gauss law, or we have directly applied the Gauss law. So this we have for today's lecture. Have a good day.